Hey folks, this is Ollie Barstow here with Visordown, and today I'm coming in over loud on something underrated. Underrated motorcycles, that is. Of course, we're all broadly aware of the most popular motorcycles on sale right now, but newsflash, bestsellers aren't always, well, the best. Motorcycles are subjective, of course. One man's rough rock is another man's rough diamond. But there are some rather wonderful hidden gems on sale right now. Motorcycles you may not have originally considered, but that offer a surprising level of rider enjoyment, or power, or value, or sometimes all three. Better still, looking outside the box could land you a motorcycle you'll absolutely adore. It's more than likely you'll have the neighbours asking, what is that? But you don't need to go on umpteen test rides to find that unsung hero of a motorcycle. We've got 10 of them right here. Before we get underway, a bit of housekeeping. Like this video, subscribe to our page for near daily motorcycle videos right to your feed. We promise you won't regret it or your money back, though you will have to send us some money first for us to pay it back. Okay, done that? Off we go. To kick things off, here is one of the most obvious. The BMW R1250R. This is the unfaired roadster version of the German marque's latest boxer twin, a machine that is famously overlooked in the UK, whereas in its German homeland it is one of the best-selling models. So what are we missing out on and why? The argument for its anonymity in the UK was always that, being unfaired, it lacked the touring practicality us Brits most associate with the brand. In short, its sales are cannibalised from within by the BMW R1250 GS and RT versions, while a Triumph Speed Triple or Ducati Monster are a tad more exotic. However, the latest 1250 shift cam version, as introduced in 2019, deserves a second look. Now with 134 brake horsepower, it has all the real-world performance most need. It's sharper looking, is comfortable, and is reasonably practical. Plus there is a treasure trove of, admittedly pricey, options and specs to make it very much your own model. Better still, with prices starting at just over £11,000, as an entry into BMW R1250 ownership, have a hard think next time if you really need a GS or an RT. With, at last count, a full 10 different variants of its retro roadster Bonneville in its modern classics lineup, you'd certainly be forgiven for passing over the T100 without even realising you're doing it. Do you want a cafe racer, sir? How about one of the Thruxtons or a Speed Twin? Something more rugged perhaps? Try one of the 3 Scramblers. Cruisers? We've got 2 Bobbers plus a Speedmaster. Even if you want a straight, classically 60s style roadster, you'll probably see the 1200cc range topping T120. What about the more humble, smaller T100? Do you know what? You'll be missing out. Yes, the 900cc engine is smaller. Yes, it has slightly softer performance, but that barely matters for this type of machine, nor does a single disc, while all-round proportions are exactly the same. But it's £1,600 or more cheaper. Look at it this way. Why not use those savings to personalise it with accessories so you've got a truly unique retro and is spec'd up your way. In case you've missed it, Kawasaki has been going through something of a reorganisation and rebrand with its lineup, and the renaming and the reclassification has created some confusion. Formerly the Z800, a recent update to become the Z900 meant it looked a little bit too much alike to the Z1000 SX, which has since become the Ninja 1000 SX. Then there is the Z650. Okay, we're confused as well. But stick with us. The Kawasaki Z900 in its latest guise is a brilliant performer, either being a mature middleweight or a more affordable tourer. First introduced in 2017 and updated again for 2020, there is a decent amount of power, while a fancy new dash and some generous kit levels certainly help it stand out. The result in an excellent all-round naked is also pretty good value too. On the downside, being based on a sleeved-down Z1000 motor doesn't help distinguish it from its bigger brother, while the less informed of you may struggle to tell it apart from its sibling from a distance. It might seem odd to pick out a version of Yamaha's hugely successful Roadster Triple as being underrated or overlooked. With the arrival of other MT variants such as the Tracer and the retro-styled XSR, the SP version of the MT-09 has become somehow forgotten, and again, that is a shame. While the base 113 brake horsepower triple roadster, which kicked off Yamaha's MT revolution in 2013, was already a popular success story, Yamaha addressed those criticisms in 2018 with this SP version, which got fully adjustable Öhlins shock at the rear, new now fully adjustable KYB forks at the front, and a tweaked paint job. And the result, for still under 10k, It goes from being merely a lively, entertaining, punchy, reasonable, practical and affordable roadster into one with a touch more class. We've included this because, if you've been paying attention, the MT-09 is getting updated very soon with a very new look. Head to the homepage now if you haven't seen it yet and do let us know what you think. Which means if you are considering an MT-09 and prefer the current face, then there'll be some fab deals out there for you right now. It's fair to say that Harley's all-new entry-level affordable V-twins have had a slightly rough ride since the introduction of the original Street 750 back in 2015, and because it's a Harley, everyone, and I mean everyone, has an opinion on it, whether it's the lack of power, iffy build quality, high prices. We could go on, but I'm sure someone else will do it for us. But the uprated Street Rod, which arrived in 2017, has been a positive change. With 18% more power, a sportier chassis, including inverted forks and 17-inch wheels, and more cafe racer styling, it is a big improvement. It represents a decent entry-level Harley at still affordable money, even if, as we say, build quality isn't really what it should be. Of course, the trouble with that is that most laymen probably haven't even noticed. Even the name is a little different. But for those that do, it's a decent bike at a decent price, and you just know you'll make a statement wherever you go, if you like that kind of thing. If you're 17, you qualify for an A1 Class 125 and are after a Sports 125, then there's probably only one bike you're dreaming of, and that's Yamaha's brilliant, recently updated and full race replica livery R125, which is bad news for decent alternatives such as this, the Suzuki GSX-R125. And do you know what? That's a shame, because at around £1,000 less, it's a fantastic value alternative to the all-conquering Yamaha. Better still, it's now available in the cool 60th anniversary blue and silver hues of its, at the time of recording, its MotoGP Championship leading team, so you'll at least look the part. Its regulation 15 brake horsepower is no less than a Yamaha, and it has a smooth, novice-friendly delivery. Its suspension may be more basic, but it still offers a decent ride and it's well made. To put it another way, if you're young and ready to strike out on two wheels, the Suzuki isn't a poor relation to the Yamaha when it comes to earning your skid marks. Besides, after a year you'll want something bigger anyway, and that £1,000 saving could well come in handy when it comes to upgrade time. You aren't short of choice when it comes to a Honda, but it means various variants of the same platform means it's always a runt of the litter. In middleweight terms, this is the Honda CB650R. Not only is the Honda unique in being the only Japanese 4-cylinder offering in this class, it just makes it a more meatier and more substantial for larger riders. It's also a great stepping stone to larger capacity 4s, and it's a great bike to own in its own right. With its Neo Cafe styling, although the jury's still out on what exactly that means, it's still a smart looker. It has all that Honda versatility, both in terms of riding and ownership, and has a fair bit of oomph from its 92 brake horsepower engine. If you're after a 4-cylinder, look closely at this because, best of all, it's actually really great value too. Entry-level models at the premium end of the motorcycle scale often have it tough. In the Ducati Multistrada's case, that means the base 950 is often overlooked in favour of its bigger engine brothers. After all, if you're spending $11,000 plus, why not just go the whole hog and get a bigger engine? But it doesn't make the Ducati Multistrada 950 any less capable, save for a few horses that frankly you won't really notice day to day. The 950 arrived in 2017, by which time the 1200 and 1260 models had already established themselves as the high-tech, big power, agile handling, practical sports tourers of the Ducati range. Which is a shame because the 950, using the Hypermotard's 113 brake horsepower V-twin, has more than enough performance for most. It still looks classy and, best of all, does it for a full $3,000 less. With a new V4 waiting in the wings to ramp up the Multistrada's flagship reign further, the 950 risks being forgotten altogether when it really doesn't deserve to. The Indian FTR 1200 is truly one of the great underappreciated bikes currently on the market. With Polaris controlling the purse strings now, the revived American brand has blasted back into the public conscience with some very convincing machinery that has set it on a collision course with Harley when it comes to luring customers onto its revived cruisers. However, in what could be described as a cheeky antithesis of the electric livewire, Indian has launched this, the balmy FTR 1200. Tapping into that flat track heritage, while this style of racing perhaps isn't quite so popularised on this side of the Atlantic, the premise of putting a lively 118 brake horsepower 1200cc motor from the Scout into a nimble, understated monster rivaling sporty chassis makes this very engaging. We can't imagine many having this on their shopping list unless they really knew what they wanted, but we implore you give it a go because it's an absolute riot to ride. While its understated but handsome looks don't scream at passers-by, those that do clasp eyes on you are almost certainly going to ask you for more information. If you like standing out from the crowd while not dividing it, then this could be the bike for you. We've saved the best for last because that's how a top 10 works, and in case you hadn't heard, and many still actually haven't, the KTM 1290 Super Duke GT is definitely the best, or at least the best sports tourer there is. Launched in 2016 and based on the now previous generation Super Duke Super Naked, the GT tames the original beast into something that was just a little bit more comfortable and a bit more practical, but still retaining a little bit of the wild side if you wanted to just open the throttle a touch. KTM treats this as a premium model, and being a whiz at all things mechanical means you've got all sorts of electronics to make the ride easier, while it's lavished with loads of kit, a lovely full coloured TFT dash, and makes good use of that 175 brake horsepower engine. The downside? It's a KTM, so in the UK at least, many still aren't aware of them because dealers can be pretty scarce. Many may make a beeline for the Multistrada 1260, but we reckon the GT will convert you into a lifelong KTM owner. That's it from us. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did and you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot and it ensures we will produce many more for you. Ciao for now.